Good morning. This is Lakhi Singh, the property fixer. Today, waiting for VJ Sal to come on, but I think he may have had a urgent meeting to attend to. So let's see if he comes on in the next 10-20 minutes. Meantime, it's an opportunity for you to have one-to-one with Lakhi Singh, property fixer. So if anybody's got any questions, do feel welcome to put them in to the comments below. And today I'm going to do quite an interactive session. So if you've got any questions about property whatsoever, then do let me know. But anybody's actually welcome to come on the show today, because unfortunately Ninder Singh's got another meeting, so he couldn't make it this morning at 8 o'clock drive time. So morning, Mandy. Mandy's lovely to have you, Mandy, on here in the morning. So what I'm going to talk about today, because I'm going to try and, because there isn't that many people on here this morning, so I'm going to try and cover a lot of content around real estate and talk about the 10 key tips for being successful as a startup in property in 2021, so you can hit the ground running. So I'm going to try and cover as many points as I can. So it's going to be more quite informational today and quite informative, hopefully. Probably less discussive, because VJ Sal, I think, is on his way. I think he may have had a problem with his helicopter again. So let's see. So how are you this fine morning, Mandy Sandhu? Good morning to you. Hope you're well. From Lakhi Singh, the property fixer. I think there are about 20-30 people watching actually, so it's quite good. So Mandy's asking, what are the best strategies for 2021? But before we go on to the big questions for 2021, I'm going to give a quick shout out to John Smith, to Meena Kapoor, Burhan Noor, Adnan Pasha. We've got Raj Malhotra as well, one of the platforms. And Mandy Sandy saying, I'm good, and Manchester is very cool. So I think what she's saying is that Manchester is probably a very good place to invest into. So what I'm going to do is I've put some tips down here earlier of key things that you need to be thinking about when you're now trying to enter into property or getting into business. So I think you're going to get something like about 20 tips actually today about property and business. So the first thing I think that's really critical to success in entering 2021 is, for the moment, I think, because this is a very unique time, 2021, with the rise of COVID-19, with Brexit rules booming as well, with now crypto going through the roof. I think, I'm not sure whether people follow the crypto news. So that's actually gone through the roof. So you've got a market that's completely in flux. So one of the advantages you've got really is to be in a position where you've got something solid, and you're in control of something where you're confident about the income. So real estate is always a good investment. So you can't go too wrong by investing into real estate. So that's my opinion. But I would also say that having a diversified portfolio, so if you've got shares, if you've got ISAs, you've got maybe a couple of businesses that you run online that create cash income, like an Amazon business or a retail business, and you've got the right market, the right marketing, and the right client base, you could do pretty well out of it. So I know of one particular business that I know that specialize in doing international holidays with luxury cars. So you can basically have your, I think the next one they're organizing is this year. I think it's in March actually, where you can get a luxury car as part of your holiday in a very nice location in Croatia. And I think they're already fully booked. They've got maybe 20 cars booked or something. So what they've done is they've also diversified. Well, they're called the Verve Rally, and Dashana is her name. She's a rising sort of entrepreneur, very, very well known, I think, in the luxury holiday industry. And she's done extremely well with her Verve Rally brand. And she's also, during COVID-19, she's also found a new product that she's taken to market, which is silk, particular type of silk, which if you use, it allows you to the skin still to breathe. So the silk is so fine that you don't really get the clogginess of the skin not being able to breathe when you're sleeping at night with your cotton pillow sheets. So that's actually quite an interesting idea. So the reason I'm mentioning that is there's a lot of opportunity for startups. So even though things may feel like they're completely out of control, if you do the basics right in this market, there are a lot of people at home. They're going to be looking for something to do, something to purchase. So if you can tap into the psychology of the market, there'll always be something you can do. So another creative idea that I've got at least two businesses that I know. One's selling a test kit that actually can test whether you've got COVID-19 or something, and you can get the answer in 10 minutes. So if you wanted to become a wholesaler for that business, because you've got access to a lot of businesses that need to know every day whether any of their employees have got COVID-19 or not, and you've got a very critical business, it's a key business, you could technically do the 10-minute test every morning with all your employees. So the risk of anybody catching COVID-19 in your department and it going around, especially if you're in a fairly enclosed environment, it reduces that. So I'm working with that company. So if you are looking for a solution for COVID-19, a 10-minute test, do let me know. I'm also in various discussions with another company that's got an antiviral cream or sanitizer, which is a lot nicer, lot more efficient than the typical sanitizers in terms of sanitization, but it also is not really greasy or a bit weird and sort of gunky that you get in a lot of sanitizers. So that company gave me a display of their products yesterday. On top of all of that, I am also working with an international company that's got a pill that reduces the symptoms of COVID-19 as well, which is apparently very effective. So quite a lot going on in terms of new innovation. So I thought today's topic that would be really interesting would be, how you could be very successful in 2021 in property and in business. But because we've got limited guests today, but we do have Mandy Sandhu, who's going to be asking lots of questions throughout, I'm sure. I'm going to focus in on the 10 key things that you need to do in, let's say, in real estate, to keep it very narrow. So I'm going to quickly tell you what all 10 of them are. Then I'm going to go through them step by step. You've got questions, do come back to me or put them in the comments here. Unfortunately, I'm only limited to a couple of platforms, so I won't be able to see all the questions you've got. So big shout out to Zishan as well. Zishan saying hello. Morning, Zishan. Hope you're well. And so let's move on to the key points. So number one is to choose your market and time the investment wisely. So I said I'll go through each one first, and now give me 1 second. So second point is buy low. That means that you buy at a low price. Third is tap into the hidden market, which means find out who are the, because everything is not apparent. So find out if there's a way of accessing the audience that you're trying to target in a different way. So you may be able to like leaflet distribution to try and find distressed sellers. You may be able to get foreclosure lists from auction houses. You may be able to go to certain websites which sell properties, but they've got a formula which actually tells you the yield. And if you're just looking for a yield-based play, you may find that they can actually give you all the yielding properties that you need, so you don't have to do too much hunting. So that's tap into the hidden market, number 3. Number 4, this is the point that we always raise, especially Ninder Singh and Vijay Sal. We say, understand the costs up front. And so do your number crunching, because you're going to miss something if you don't do your number crunching properly. So that's critical. Number 5 is understand the market. You really got to understand really, who you're targeting. Is there rental demand if you're buying and selling properties? So I'll come on to all these points in a minute. Number 6 is manage the risks in your investment. So I'll come on to that point as well. What are the risks? How do you manage them? How do you counter all those risks? So quite a lot to think about already, and I've only got to number 6. So number 7 is a sort of old and sort of old but gold, you could sort of say, point, which is that a lot of people make the mistake of buying the best property in the best area and actually making it the best. That's not really going to work. So, you have to be quite careful that you maybe buy the worst property in the best area, and you're more likely to make more profit that way. So that's quite a good one. I'm going to cover that as well. So number 8 is really maximizing the potential of your investment. So come on to that, which is, an example would be, you could be easily buying something and maybe 4 or 5 properties available that you're looking to buy for investment. But which are the ones which have got some additional USPs? You may have an opportunity to install an ATM in the sidewall because you've got a commercial unit below. You may have access to a piece of land that may have potential for planning permission. You may have an ability to get into a mansard roof and go upwards. So the potential could be pretty huge, that. So you really you've got the ability to maximize value. So I'll come on to going back to each of these points one by one, because we've only 14 minutes in, but we have got another 45 minutes to cover these points and more. Number 9 is know the rules and regulations of real estate investment. I think there is a lot of red tape now in real estate, in obviously around accounting, tax, even how you hold your information and data about clients. So just know the rules and regulations of what you're doing. That will make your life a lot easier. So stops anything happening untoward that you may not be expecting. I think number 10 is probably the critical one, which is, after talking to a lot of professional landlords out there or startups, even D yesterday. You've got to, number 10 is really, you've got to consider different types of real estate investments and not be sort of very linear in what you're doing, because you've got so much choice now in terms of the training that's given out there by various companies and how to make money in property. So you've got different strategies from rent to rent, which is very much about cash flow, and high yielding assets such as HMOs. And then you've got other strategies which are more cash flow related, which is like sourcing assets. So we can cover all of these off one by one. But it'd be great to get any questions if anybody's got any questions about any of those 10 points, because I'm happy to do an interactive session today. So let me just quickly check on Facebook whether we've had any further questions, because we're on about 8 different platforms here at the moment. Okay. So let me just check 1 second. Right, so I'm back. Okay, so quite a lot to cover today then. I think it's going to be quite a content-rich type of Friday today. So it'll be good to know anybody out there what area you're in, and I can also talk specifically, if you just mention the area that you're in, I can talk specifically about really what type of strategies might work well in that area. Right, so the first question is choosing your market and timing the investment wisely. And one of the most interesting things that we had is that I think we had a young lady called Holly, who's based in Sheffield, I believe, and she was saying really how they looked around the whole country and they found really Sheffield to be the best market for their strategies, which was primarily to buy, refurbish and flip properties, because they're saying they were cheap enough, and then the return or the value add they could do was good enough for them to actually get access to a good deal and also make enough profit. So I think Sheffield is a bit of a golden nugget for a lot of people that are starting off with very little money in to grow their portfolio. So what are the key points in choosing the best place to start from, and timings, and how do you time it? So I think a lot of people that get involved in real estate usually want to jump their 9-to-5 jobs, and it's not always easy to just jump your job just like that. So I think timing is everything with what you're doing. You really have to be on point with the timing that you're going to have. So what are the key points in terms of number one, choosing the market and timing the investment? So I think you've got to be careful not to jump ship too early, especially if you haven't got an income yet. So I think you need to do a cash flow. I think a critical part of choosing the market and timing your investment is to do with really how you orchestrate when your money is going to come in, when you can do what your dependencies are. So really you have to be sort of like a mini project manager, even if you're just buying one property just to rent it out, refurbish it and sell it and make a profit. So it's critical that you are not left in a position where you got all your projects ready, but then you got no money and you can't jump out of your job to try and finish a large project off. So got to be very careful with how you choose your market, and you got to do the timing in a way that fits into your cash flows as well, and the number stack. So if you have more questions about cash flows and how they work, happy to sort of share them with you, and even do a session about cash flows if that helps people. So do put any questions in about any cash flows or anything else that you might think is actually useful. So let me have a look at the next point. So understanding your market is critical. So when I first started off in the property market, I actually started off looking at we've got VJ Sal here now. Hi, VJ Sal.
Where have you been? Been waiting for you, sir. Lakhi Singh, how you been? Where were you?
VJ Sal?
Yeah, we're waiting for you. You're late, as usual. Better 3 hours early
I need to be
than
on
1
time.
minute late. That's one of the sayings.
My helicopter broke down. What can I say?
Pardon?
My helicopter broke down. What can I say?
Your helicopter broke down. Right. Well, the saying of the weekend. Better 3 hours early than 1 minute late. So don't be late next time.
Sorry about that, VJ Sal. You know me.
Have been excused.
I tend to be got a sense of misadventure.
Misadventure. Right, sir. So, the topic for today, can you remind me, because you're in control today, aren't you?
So the topic for today is how to be successful in 2021 in property and business, despite COVID-19. For anybody who's starting off in property. So
well,
what I've done is I've covered off 10 key topics that 56 is a video again.
I think an excellent idea. Excellent idea that came up from our conversations in this week was it was something that Dee said. I think yesterday Dee mentioned that having a pet or having something that you have to take care of is an excellent therapy whilst you're in lockdown. It's actually a very good way of calming the nerves. So I think anybody out there who's picked up on that, and if they were going to do online pet sales, so you pick up the pet, you get it packed, and you send it online. Obviously, you can't be packing goldfish in a parcel because they're not going to survive. But anything else, you know, in a conceptually way, getting people birdies, hamsters, mice, anything that's living, cat, a dog. I remember there was a saying that we used to have that a pet is not just for Christmas. I think actually these things have a greater meaning now, and especially for those people who are on their own, who are looking for an excellent idea and want to get into business and keep, you know, someone company. They could appoint a chief executive as a parrot to repeat everything they say. I am the best boss in the world. You are the best boss in the world. What do you reckon, Lakhi Singh?
I was thinking of maybe like a VJ Sal doll.
A doll?
VJ Sal doll, so people can just squeeze it and it sort of makes weird noises.
We're merchandising now. That sounds like
but it could be a robot doll, so it keeps people company.
Yes.
So it could be hi, this is VJ Sal, and I'm the propertyfixer.
Yes. I'm speaking to the propertyfixer.
Unique, isn't it?
Yes, I think it can work. Look, the bottom line is, Lakhi Singh, you know, everybody we've had on in the last few months, anybody and everybody is talking about positivity. I mean, we saw Dee say yesterday that she went out and set everything up around COVID, and all of a sudden she says, it's come back into lockdown again. So what do I do? But the fact that she can laugh, the fact that she can smile about it, that is the reality. I think that's the fact that we're talking about. The mind is a powerful tool. And I think the mind being powerful can make you, change what you think is what you got around you to what is the what you need around you rather than what you think is around you. And I think it is an important time, but internet definitely is a tool that everyone should look at in their business and looking at things that can help other people. And talking of something that can help other people is the RAC model, Lakhi. Is that not correct? Is that not an excellent way of networking, using social media, talking to people, helping them, but also making money? I mean, that is like, did you know this was going to happen?
Well, we anticipated that the whole markets will change from March last year. We weren't anticipating a sort of like a health pandemic that could be killing lots of loved ones. So I think yes, I think we did have an inkling.
We had an inkling, but it seems to be that this glove fits the hand, doesn't it? The hand of where we are at the moment. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I think it's a perfect hand in glove type situation because we've tested becoming an associate with the company out for about the last 10 years and made it almost like impossible not to succeed type formula where people can go out and actually help other people. And I think a lot of people will be needing empathy. They'll be needing support. They'll so if you can go and help people through their financial woes and actually create a solution for them and make money, that's actually probably the perfect storm for a lot of people that are now stuck at home in a lockdown.
Beauty of this associate model is you don't even need an office, do you? I mean, you don't need a physical. You can actually do it in a comfortable environment in someone's house, keeping safe distance, keeping to the measures, or do it in an open space like a hotel or a meeting room somewhere. Or if you want, you could do it in someone else's office. But because of the lockdown and because of the way everything is, I think even that matter is covered in the RAC model, isn't it? You don't really need an office, do you? You don't have to have that burden of expenses chasing you. You basically do business casually and you make money but you make it by helping people. Isn't that unique?
I think it's fantastic because there's so many people that can benefit from that. And I think Mandy was actually, so good morning, DJ. I think she's the biggest fan now. Because she's somewhat stuck at home.
I can't hear you, Lakhi.
Mandy who's stuck at home. Can you not hear me now?
Mandy?
I said Mandy who's stuck at home.
Yeah.
It's going to be something that's perfect because it ticks all the boxes. Because it can't really get out anyway. It allows her to help people, and I think it could actually then help lots of other people in very similar circumstances.
Yeah, I was thinking, I mean, I'm not sure whether your research and developers or your company will accept or look at the idea, but I think we had a gentleman called Mohsin Ravjani who actually does a lot on the social housing. He does lots of support work. What do you think if that becomes an additional service offering that you guys do in the network, the supporting of people and their their mental health and things like that? Could that work? I know you
think anything that we can do to help people as an addition to what we do, I think is a bit of a no-brainer.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm saying it's like away from business, because it may not make money for people in terms of referring people to, social housing or looking at support systems, but it definitely has the effect of um, giving a bit of a well-being back to the program that I think you attempted to do in the first few years. It didn't quite work, I think, but do you think that could be an important thing? Because I remember Mohsin saying the type of mentoring they do is it's modular, so they get somebody first to get to realization, then they get them retrained, and then they get them back into the job market. Isn't that an excellent way of getting people out of where they're at and back into work as well?
Yeah, I think that is a bit of a no-brainer. So, as well as all the other services, I think that could be done as more of a, let's say, support system for people. I think a lot of what Mohsen does is for people that are completely zero, so they're out in the street and they have no way of finding their way back in because the system has ostracized them. So yeah, I think that can work because it's more from a point of view of when people like Mandy or other people that become associates, they talk to people, they realize there isn't a way out for them. But if we've got programs like that that exist as part of our solution,
Well, I think interesting was what Dee said as well. Dee Twentyman said that there was another app that was, I think, linked to some charity or some support network. I think it was maybe was it the which one was it? Was it the Salvation Army maybe or something? And they were had an app and they could give you a call, and if you were available, you could provide someone support over the telephone. I mean, you could incorporate things like that in, couldn't you? Isn't that an excellent way of getting people, helping people? What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think there's tons of organizations which support people to go back or even shift from being a nurse or a policeman because they don't really feel that they've got cross skills to move into a new area of work. So there's another organization called Shift to Success, and it's run by a guy called, I think, Alex Siri. So that's actually another type of example of where people that are in, let's just say, mass occupations such as police force and nursing, and they're looking for stepping stones to find out how their skills would be transferable into a profession unrelated to what they're currently doing. So I think, yeah, it's a fantastic idea. I think there's so many prongs to it because we've got so many different people with different types of problems and different types of issues, especially in this market.
Right. Okay, so even in our conversation, there seems to be so much that can be done. And even though people are sitting at home thinking in a desperate manner or despairingly thinking, what can I do? You just sort of like, just in these 1-2 minutes of conversation, it seems like there's so much that can be done and it's not enough for one person. Isn't that the feeling you're getting from it? Lakhi Singh, sorry for that.
Yeah, so yeah, I think there's lots of possibilities. I mean, today's show, I'm trying not to spend 80% of my time talking about the problems. I'm trying to focus in on the solutions.
Exactly.
Because that's what it's meant to be. So today, when we're talking about, why actually 2021 is going to be the most successful time for startups and property and business is the question, which is actually a positive spin rather than the doom and gloom you get when you're watching a lot of press and media at the moment. So I think ultimately there's a lot of, I mean, in every change there's a opportunity or any adversity. As we say, there's a adversity is the mother of all invention. So
adversity is the mother of all invention. I like that. It's a new way of saying it, but it makes sense.
Yeah. So basically, we really need to get our mindsets focused in on the opportunity, not on the problems. So what can I do? And I think the point that Dee made, which is write down 5 things that you can do. And I think we need to sort of unlock ourselves from a sort of problem mentality anyway, a fear mentality, which is quite commonplace with every human being actually, because we are a lot of the time living in fight or flight type mode. So I think what you should be thinking is, I mean, Elon Musk has now become the richest man in the world. He's bypassed Bezos. He started off probably living in his car or something with no money not that long ago. I think it was about 10 years ago. And it's only that he had an idea and he's implemented it. So I think everybody should be thinking about who's their aspiration and who's their aspirational brand. Is it John Lewis? Is it Elon Musk? Is it Apple? Is it the Body Shop? A lot of these people started from nothing, and they built themselves up. And I think people are going to start planting their seeds now, while they've got plenty of time in their hands to plant seeds.
But talking of starting from nothing, Lakhi, you got Spearmint Rhino, haven't you? Those poor people.
Is that is that like polo? Is that like a mint? Is it? So is that quite like a tasty mint?
Well, you say you started with nothing. You've got companies like Spearmint Rhino, haven't you? Those people literally
do they sell mints?
Got hardly anything, and they only go upwards, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, I think they sell mints. Is that right? Spearmints. So you've got a spearmint.
Pardon?
Have you got a spare mint?
Can't hear you.
I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
You got the Madonna fever. You're frozen, my friend. Neil Sohar says, well, this is just for everyone. Neil Sohar says, well, with the management company, if you do take that option, you can claim the fee. Pardon? Pardon? Allah? Can't hear you.
I can hear you fine.
What are you saying?
I can hear you fine.
What are you saying? Can't hear you. Cannot hear you. Lakhi Singh, can't hear you, but okay, let's continue. We've got some other comments. Good morning from Mandy and John. Pardon? Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. Yeah.
Right.
I think we're near the end of the show because it's going to be closed in about 3 or 4 minutes because we started a bit late.
Pardon?
We've only got a couple of minutes.
Started a bit late.
Yeah, so we've only got a couple of minutes because I've got to leave on time because I've got quite a lot of
excellent
important appointments today.
Better to be 3 hours early than 1 minute late, as it says for this weekend. Another example of being punctual Lakhi Singh, sharp as a knife, as usual, bit like a surgical knife. The business world. Are you a surgical knife, Lakhi, of the business world?
I try my best. You've got to keep sharp.
Can you hear me? Can you?
No, I think because we're the broadcast is a bit poor quality at the end. I think we may as well close now if you can hear me.
Tell me, sir. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Lakhi Singh?